Before light had a name, before color existed to be seen, there was a stillness vast and living, and within it a heartbeat, steady as eternity. Out of that stillness came breath, and the breath became a word, and the word became creation. Light unfurled across the void like a promise breaking open the dark, and the world began to sing. Rivers curved through newborn valleys, trees rose in reverent silence, the wind learned the language of music, and in the midst of it all, a garden bloomed, Eden, the breath of God made visible. In that place everything was whole, and wholeness was worship. The ground exhaled peace, the skies shimmered with purpose, and every creature knew its maker not through fear, but through nearness. Man opened his eyes to dawn and found himself breathing the same rhythm that shaped the stars. Woman awakened from sleep and saw not strangeness but recognition, as if her soul had been waiting for this other heart since before the world began. They were reflection and breath, strength and tenderness, walking in harmony through a world unmarred by hurry or hunger. Every leaf was a lesson in trust, every sunrise an echo of the Creator's voice whispering, "This is good." But love, to remain love, must allow freedom. And so, in the center of the garden, two trees stood like living choices, one rooted in life everlasting, the other in knowledge yet untested. Between them, space enough for trust. Days passed in laughter, in the coolness of evening walks with the one who made them, in the warmth of mornings that felt like eternity in bloom. And yet, somewhere beyond the edge of that peace, something stirred. A whisper found the still air, sliding between branches like smoke seeking an opening. The voice was soft, melodic, shaped to resemble care. Did God really say? It asked, and the question trembled the heart of innocence. The fruit glowed like captured sunlight, smooth, perfect, waiting. Curiosity leaned closer. Desire blinked awake. And the first fracture appeared, not in the garden, but in trust. A breath, a reach, a bite. The taste was sweet for only a heartbeat before it burned. The song of the garden shuddered and fell silent. Light still shone, but it no longer felt warm. The breeze still moved, but it now carried the ache of distance. Eyes once opened to wonder now turned inward in shame, and where they had once run to the sound of God's footsteps, now they hid. "Where are you?" came the voice that had once only spoken joy. The words were not thunder, they were heartbreak given sound. Man trembled, woman wept, and both forgot how to meet his gaze. "We heard you," he said, "and we were afraid." And in that moment, the world learned what fear was. Yet even then, love did not leave. The Creator stepped closer, the same hands that shaped galaxies reaching to clothe his children in mercy. "You chose apart from me," he said, sorrow wrapping each word, "and now the world will know apartness." Still, his voice held grace, the kind that endures even through exile. And so they left the garden, the gate behind them closed in light too bright to see, but not in anger. It was protection, a promise hidden in loss. The world beyond Eden was wide and wild, filled with both beauty and ache. Seasons came and went, generations rose and fell, and humanity carried within its heart the memory of that first home. A faint melody of what had once been, a longing for a voice that still whispered through the wind, "I am still here." Centuries turned like pages. Cities rose where rivers once ran. The air filled with the sound of hammers, markets, laughter, and grief. Yet beneath it all, something pulsed, the same divine heartbeat that began creation. And then, once more, the Word became flesh and walked among dust. He did not come to rebuild Eden but to rewrite its story within every heart that had forgotten the sound of God's footsteps. He walked through deserts instead of gardens, through crowds instead of stillness, but the light in his eyes was the same light that first said, "Let there be." He touched the broken and called them beloved. He looked upon shame and saw worth. He stood beneath another tree, rough, heavy, carved by human hands, and chose differently. Where the first choice brought exile, this choice brought return. And when he breathed his last, the ground shook not in destruction but in recognition. The veil tore, the way opened, and love's pursuit became complete. Yet this is not the end, for the garden was never lost, it waits, transfigured. Not behind us, But ahead, imagine it, a renewed world rising from the breath of grace, rivers gleaming like memory restored, trees heavy with fruit that no longer tempts but nourishes. The air hums again, but this time with the harmony of every heart that has learned to trust. The same God walks there still, his voice both ancient and new, and humanity walks with him once more, not as wanderers, but as children come home. Mountains lift their heads in praise. The sea rests in calm reflection. Cities of light grow where once there were ruins, not made of gold or glass but of peace. Every tear that ever fell becomes part of the river that runs through the heart of this new Eden. Every wound becomes a window for light. The people move without fear, choosing love because they have seen what life without it costs. And at the center of this future garden stands a tree, not the one that divided, but the one that heals. Its roots reach through time itself, its branches spread across eternity, and from it flows the whisper that began everything. It is very good. The Creator looks upon his creation once more and sees not the shame of what was lost, but the beauty of what love redeemed. His eyes, bright with tears and galaxies, reflect every face that ever turned toward him, and he smiles. For the story of the garden was never about perfection kept. It was about love that refuses to let go. Eden was the beginning, but grace is the continuation, and the end is another beginning altogether. Every dawn that breaks now carries a fragment of that first light. Every act of kindness echoes the first voice, and every choice toward goodness is another step back into communion. So when the stars rise and silence returns, the voice still calls. Not demanding, not condemning, inviting. Where are you? It asks, not because he does not know, but because he longs for us to remember where home truly is. And if you listen closely, through the hum of life, through the noise of cities, through your own beating heart, you can hear the answer waiting. Here I am. Love remains. Grace endures. The garden grows again, this time, within us. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so other families can rest in his love too.